my generation was split apart because of political and bureaucratic missteps through the Mandal Commission, which led to the Mandal Commission agitation and drove a wedge and reinforced caste in India. Remember, the founding fathers, including Dr. Ambedkar, dreamt of a caste-less society. Even Dr. Ambedkar did not intend reservations to continue forever. It is only later that Indian politicians, many decades after Dr. Ambedkar, realized that caste is something to benefit from, to profit from. And hence caste became a tool for political profit, and that's why my generation was divided and caste was brought back into the national fabric, the social fabric and the political fabric, simply for political expediency. Why did the government make this mistake over this UGC provisions? Why did the UGC fiasco happen? Why did the central government allow it? Was it well thought out? Why did this happen? Who allowed it? Did it have political approval? If it had political approval, why on earth did it have political approval? Who wants to create a situation where you drive a further wedge within the Hindu community between SC, ST, OBC and other general caste? Why would you do that? On the one side, the BJP says, batenge to katenge, ek rahenge to safe rahenge, and asks for Hindu consolidation and says that ek rahenge to safe rahenge, batenge to katenge. But what the UGC did not match that approach at all. And someone has to say this directly to the government. Question to the government is, why did the government allow the introduction of something which had to be taken back today because of the Supreme Court stepping in? Obviously, they knew this would have driven a wedge within Hindu society. Why would you drive a caste wedge within Hindu society? For what purpose? Is it bad politics? Is it a bureaucratic mistake / misstep? Are bureaucrats running this country now? How is it that some people, quote unquote insiders, had some idea about this in advance that it would come? And then protests started. But regardless of that, let me ask a few basic questions about what the contentions are as far as the UGC norms are concerned. What are the contentions? For those who are not aware of the basic issues which have become contentious here, let me tell you why this is wrong. What is the controversy of UGC? What is the C of UGC? First, the exclusionary definition. It defined caste-based discrimination specifically for SC, ST and OBC members. The Supreme Court rightly said that this is discriminatory and regressive towards a general category. If you're going to begin on a premise that discrimination can only be by people from the general category towards those from SC, ST and OBCs, then you are creating a premise that somebody is a victim and somebody is an oppressor. This is not very different from what, unfortunately, I'll have to say this, what Sonia Gandhi wanted to bring with the so-called communal harmony bill when she said that Hindus will always be the perpetrators and non-Hindus will be the minorities, will be the victims. This is plausibly and logically wrong. Why did the government allow it? Secondly, complete vagueness. This UGC provision defined discrimination as, quote unquote, impairing human dignity, unquote, or creating, quote, hostile environment. The court rightly flagged this language as capable of misuse. Why did the Modi government or the UGC not think that we must not introduce norms which are capable of misuse? Is someone even looking at the details anymore? Third, it said that if there is a committee which is going to look into these issues, it will have fixed members from SC, ST, OBC and women. The court rightly said that this lacks neutrality and natural justice, because then the UGC / government is beginning on a premise that if you are not an SC, ST or OBC or you are not a woman, you are biased, you are prejudiced, you are bad. How fair is that? Has the government become anti-general caste? Has the government and UGC become anti-general caste? What wrong have people from the general caste done? Are you trying to create a bias or a prejudice mindset out here? Why is this happening? Why is this happening when the government and the BJP's own political line is batenge to katenge? Why are you driving something which will obviously raise concerns among people, not just general caste people, but everywhere? People are asking, whose idea was this? The fourth is the malicious complaint cap. The final 2026 version of this UGC removed the penalty for false or frivolous complaints. Rightly, the Supreme Court said that there is no cost for filing a false accusation. Anybody can accuse anybody and get them into the tangle of a legal case, a criminal case, without the slightest accountability if that case were to be frivolous, malicious, prejudiced, or used out of personal vendetta. Ladies and gentlemen, these are matters of great concern. I want to say this. I want to remind this government. Let this government not forget. Let no government ever forget that we became independent on the premise that over a period of time, we will reduce the element of caste. And today, this government must think that if for the younger generation of this country, it wants to bring back caste or caste discrimination or caste divide, directly or indirectly, I hope this has not got political sanction and was only done by bureaucrats, in a way that it widens the gap, then how do we ever intend to become a caste-less society? Do we intend to become a caste-less society? Or is caste as a political tool going to be used by politicians and / bureaucrats generation by generation by generation by generation, where caste remains the major accepted periphery under which the citizens of India are to operate? I'm asking the younger generations, I'm asking Gen Z, I'm requesting Gen Z, do not look at each other on the basis of caste. Do not let the politicians divide you. This wedge is bad. We can become a casteless society if we intend to be. But if we want to reinforce this, then remember what happens is, and I don't want to lecture politicians, but remember, instead of positive discrimination, this becomes prejudice reinforcement, bias reinforcement, which is extremely dangerous. I'm glad the Supreme Court has intervened, but not just me. The people of the country are asking tonight, and the nation wants to know, was this a bureaucratic mess? Or, and I'll have to ask this, was this bad politics? Bad politics.